Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution guarantees every state a Republican form of government. If I, as one of the people with all political power, look at my administration and I say, y'all guys are screwing up, and you don't change it, what have they just done to me? They have now just broken the contract. You cannot breach the trust if you are a trustee. Miss Wendy did a great job of laying out how evil things are. So I'd like to present to you, humbly, if I may, a solution. A solution. And everything that I'm going to say, I'm going to show in writing, because I don't want to say anything that isn't proven, that the government hasn't already agreed to. The first thing that I want to read is, I'm a Christian, and so I believe that everything needs to go for the glory of God. And so I'm going to start right here with the Great Commission, because this is actually how we're going to get rid of machines. You're never going to ever hear the Great Commission getting rid of election machines, but that's what I'm about to show you. In Matthew 28, our Lord raises from the grave physically, and he says, Matthew 28, verse 18, he says, "And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore, and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even until the end of the world." Our founders believed the gospel. Because they believed the gospel, they saw the Bible is true, and because they saw the Bible is true, they gave us a constitutional republic. These words mean things. This is a Black's Law Dictionary. This is the dictionary that lawyers use, law schools use, courts use. This is the dictionary of the legal law profession. It's full of a bunch of words that you can hear, but you and I don't think like this. We don't think like this dictionary talks. Lawyers think like this dictionary talks. So we're going to use what the dictionary says. Audience participation. I see a lot of people streaming. That's fine. All right, cool. Amen. Someone who's not recording or not streaming, please get out your phone and Google Ballotpedia State Constitutions. Ballotpedia State Constitutions. Anyone who's got a big voice, let me know whenever you get there. But hold it, because the first thing that I want to show is the word right. Do you know what a right is? Well, of course, they come from God. Yeah, but like, what is it? What is a right? Now, I welcome and invite anybody, because I don't have any projectors or anything else, but I invite you to come up and look at me, or look at this if you think that I'm telling you wrong. Right, this is a Black's Law 4th Deluxe Edition. In page 1486, a right is a power of free action. A power of free action. When Jesus says, all power in heaven and earth is given to me, go, that is Jesus commissioning the church. That is Jesus saying, go do stuff. He doesn't tell you where. He expects you to go everywhere, all the time, always conquering, always forward. Amen? We're going to get some preaching. We're going to get some law. We're going to get some patriotism, okay? This is how our founders did. This is, I believe, the way we get our nation back, because it's God-honoring. We start with Jesus because Christ is King. Now, Jesus says, all power in heaven and earth is given to me. That power he then gives. When your rights come from God, they come from the Great Commission, because Jesus gives good gifts. The gifts he gave are your rights. Your founders, because they love Jesus, they believe the Bible, gave us a government that is predicated on the defense of your rights. Who has Oklahoma Constitution? Do you have a Ballotpedia? Ballotpedia State Constitutions? No. So go to Ballotpedia State Constitutions, and I would encourage anybody to do this who's watching whatever. Ballotpedia State Constitutions, and scroll down to Oklahoma. Let me know whenever you've got that, because I'm going to have you read it.
Well, that's somebody else.
No, you got the microphone. Because if you read it, it's not me reading it, and now it's not me doing it, it's other people doing it, because you and I are equal.
I'm not sure what you want to read.
Yeah. I'll tell you. Go to Oklahoma Constitution, Article 2. Article 2. Scroll down to Article 2. Scroll down. Yep. Not that far. Article 2. Article 2. Click read. Yep. No. She's good. Click right here.
Okay.
Okay. Does that work?
See.
Oh, okay, both mics. Okay, now read Article 2, Section 1. Okay. Read this right there. Okay. Go.
All political power is inherent in the people, and government is instituted for their protection, security, and benefit, and to promote their welfare, their general welfare, and they have the right to alter or reform the same whenever the public good may require it, provided such charge be not repugnant to the Constitution of the United States.
Did you guys hear her say all political power is inherent in the people? Yeah. Did you hear her say that? Yeah. That's your Constitution. I'm in Oklahoma. We got a lady from Oregon. Let me real fast look at Oregon, because I guarantee you it says this. It's very similar language. I've got it pulled up because this is where I frequently read. Let's go to Oregon real fast. Oregon Constitution, Declaration of Bill of Rights, Article 1. Oregon Constitution. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and free governments are founded on their authority, instituted for their peace, safety, happiness, and that they have at all times a right. Where do rights come from? Jesus. They have a right to alter, reform, or abolish government in such manner as they may think proper. As the judges say proper, as the legislature says proper, as the state election board says proper. Well, who's the they? The they is the we. We the people. People. In the law, you need to understand your status. You are people. Do not call yourself a taxpayer. Do not call yourself a citizen. Do not call yourself a resident. Do not call yourself anything except for what your wife calls you or your mama calls you. But you were made in God's image. Now, I want to do something that I am now henceforth going to refer to as downstream. If you look to your left, my right, I am going to stand as a people. People made the Constitution. The Constitution then creates the three branches of government: legislative, executive, judicial. Those three branches, based on what the Constitution says, then has people sworn to them. I do solemnly swear to uphold and support, defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. These people right here then obey what the three branches say, which comes from the Constitution, which comes from the people. You just heard all political power is inherent in the people, so it's not all political power is inherent in the Constitution. It does not say all political power is inherent in the courts. It does not say all political power is inherent in the governor. It does not say all political power is inherent in the basketball that's underneath my feet. Right? You are one of the people. People create government. In this case, people create the Constitution. The Constitution then creates the three branches of government. The three branches of government have inside of them people that have sworn to the Constitution that then do whatever else the laws say. Does that make sense? Now let's say that you doubt me. Because, who am I? I'm just a random dude, right? So I want to go back to our Oklahoma Constitution, and I would encourage you guys watching at home or wherever to go to Ballotpedia State Constitutions and just find your state constitution. I'm going to go back to my Bill of Rights, Article 2, and I'm going to go to Section 11 because I read this stuff, folks. I study this stuff. Article 2, Section 11 of the Oklahoma Constitution. Could you please, my reader dear, could you please read the first... just read that first sentence, and I'll tell you when to stop, but go slow.
Every person elected or appointed to any office or employment of trust...
Stop. What's a trust? What's a trust? No one knows what a trust is? Let's start from the beginning, please, ma'am. This is the last time I'll do it to you.
Every person elected or appointed to any office or employment of trust...
Stop. Every person. Every person. Every single person. Not every other, not some, not half, not a few, not a couple, not 100. Every. Now, what took me a long time to figure out, and I have a teacher, his name's Dave Jose, he's a brother in the Lord, another fellow Christian man, through a lot of pain, study time, prayer, the government is a public trust. Who has a pocket constitution of the U.S. Constitution with you? Nobody? That's a problem. I'm just going to go to Article 6. Article 6, Section 3. This is a U.S. Constitution, because there's a lot of constitutions, folks. There's 51. Not just one, there's 51. So Article 6, Section 3, it reads, oh shoot, can you hear me? It says, I'll read it so you guys can see. The senators and representatives before mentioned, the members of the several state legislatures and all the several and executive and judicial officers, both the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath and affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as qualification to any office or public trust. Public trust under the United States. That's the Constitution calling itself a public trust. So now we need to know what a public trust is. If you go to your Black's Law Dictionary, and if you want all of this for free, go to commonlawpeople.com. commonlawpeople.com. Into your email, you get a free Black's Law Dictionary, you get the maxims of law that we're about to discuss, and you get a 12-hour seminar on all this stuff. I'm giving you a crash course. The reason why I'm bringing all this up is because a public trust is what our founders gave us. Long story short, our founding fathers hated liars. They hated people that would abuse power. So if I find a public trust, I'm looking at trust, not public. This is where I need both hands, but I'm fine. T-U-T-R-U-S-T, there we go. Trust, we're going to look up public trust. This is on page 1682. Right there. Can you see public trust? That's what I'm going to read. Public trust, one constituted for the benefit either of the public at large or some considerable portion of it answering a particular description. One constituted. Now, in a trust, and I'll draw this, where's my board? There it is. Now, I'll do this. This is where I'm really being tested. No, you're good. Part of the entertainment is me struggling to do stuff. So you've got, as you're looking, we, the people, make Constitution, C-O-N-S-T, Constitution, let's do this, which then creates the legislative, executive, judicial, right? Which then these people have sworn actors called trustees. You get that? We the people make the Constitution. The Constitution then gives power to the legislative, executive, judicial. These branches then have trustees that are sworn to this. So if you have never sworn an oath to the United States Constitution, you are here. If you've sworn an oath to the United States Constitution, you're down here. When you are in your official capacity. If you take your hat off and you go home to your wife, to your family, to whatever, now you're one of the people. Now you have rights. Now you've got private rights. Does that make sense? Yes. You know all of this. Now let me turn the screws. Your elections belong to you. Elections are choice. I'm going to fast forward now. If you want me to give you the definitions, we can give you the definitions. But for time's sake, the concept is people made by God, given by rights, constitute the Constitution. The Constitution tells what the branches of government are. The branches of government then give power to the people that swear to the Constitution, and then they all do stuff. And all the stuff that government does is for whose benefit? How do you know that? How do you know? We got laughing in the back because there's corruption. And there's corruption because people don't know they're here. People don't think they're here. They think they're down here. People think that they're down here. Let me walk this. We've been talking about election integrity. People created the Constitution. The Constitution created the legislature. The legislature is comprised of trustees, legislators, House of Representatives, state senator, U.S. senator, blah, 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 right? These are the people that run for office. These people then use the power of the legislature to write law, to write statute, which is down here. And this Constitution gives the legislature, the trustees, the ability to create entities called counties. These counties are corporate fictions. They're government. They are a corporate entity that has county election official. This county election official can't get this job until county election official does what? Okay, so now county election official's sitting right here, and in walk you. And you come and you say, I'd like to look at the machines, please. And county election official treats you like you are here. I'm sorry, we can't do that. Well, why can't you? Well, because I, county election official, am a member of the county that was created by the legislature, that comes from the legislative branch, which is actually coming from the Constitution, which created the executive branch, which then says, here's the chair of the General Election Board. And the general election guy, Paul Ziriak, or whatever his name is, Paul Ziriak is also sworn to the Constitution. And this dude right here told that this lady, or whoever the election board chairperson is, told this person right here, don't do anything, so whenever people come into your thing, you can't look at the machines. You are here. You know those maps where you go to like National Park or something, and it says, you are here? That's this. The entire system has trained you, has educated you to think that you are here. My dear sister just read Article 2, Section 1 that says, who had all political power? The people. She also read something in there that says that they may alter or reform whenever they want to. Whenever could be now. Whenever could be Saturday. Whenever doesn't have to be 2 years when it's election time. Whenever doesn't have to be every 4 years. It doesn't have to be Republican. Doesn't have to be Democrat. It is whenever. And it's for everybody, which is more than everybody, by the way. It's for everybody, whenever the public good says. I want to introduce to you this idea that I call Operation Josiah. Josiah was a king in Israel, 2 Kings 22. 2 Kings 22. He took over whenever he was 8. Some dudes found the Bible. They brought Josiah the Bible. He read the Bible. He tore his clothes. He realized there was idolatry everywhere. They got freaking temples. They got Asherah poles. They got prostitute in the temples. They got all sorts of stuff going on. What does Josiah do? King Josiah destroys them all. He does not ask for permission because he reads the Bible and he says, God hates idols. I'm going to destroy idols. I'm here to destroy idols. I'm not here to ask. I'm not here to compromise. And I don't think that you should be either. What Josiah is, it is a self-paced, sequential process where we're going to take you going to your trustee, you coming as one of the people, going to your trustee and telling your trustee, I'm one of the people, the entirety of government is for me, and you need to change this. Of course they will say, well, that's not what the statute says, and that's not what the court says, and that's not what this is. We're going to do it first with grace. Jesus says you first come to your brother in private. If you can win them at there, hey, amen, you got them. Because there may be some trustees who see the election the election stuff, and like Wendy was saying, it's garbage. They could see it's garbage. And all they might need is the cover of the people saying the Constitution says I get to say get rid of it. And they'll do it. I'm going to talk to a couple sheriffs this next week. They are chomping at the bit to get rid of things. But they don't know what to say. Why? Because everyone down here lives in lawyer land. This is the land of lawyers. This is the land of statutes. This is the land of case law. This is the land of court precedent, judicial precedent. When you say the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, did you know that there's a definition of law of the land in the dictionary? This is Black's Law Fourth. Let me read this. Law of the land, the definition is due process of law. The meaning is that every citizen shall hold his life, liberty, property, and immunities in the protection of the general rules which govern society. You hold your rights. The government doesn't hold it. The county election official doesn't hold it. The sheriff doesn't hold it. The judge doesn't hold it. You hold it. Why? Because we are a republic. And a republic, if I could look up the definition, I want to save this real fast because this is a big mic drop. A republic is a form of government, I just know it. It's a form of government that the affairs, a commonwealth, that form of government in which the administration, so the people in charge of affairs, is open to all the citizens. So in a constitutional republic, the administration, the goings-on, do this, sweep that, take the trash out, don't use Periwinkle Blue's 11 font for the memos. The administration is open to all. Why? Because all of government is designed to defend your rights, and if you hold your rights as the law of the land, no one else holds them for you. So if you know what your rights are and people are doing something wrong, go fix it. Stop doing what you're doing. Now, there will be skeptics, and there will be people saying, okay, that all sounds good. Okay, you're doing book knowledge or whatnot. Okay, where does the rubber meet the road? In the law, you have the people made the Constitution made the legislature has trustees, the trustees pass statutes, the statutes then govern the conduct of counties and elections and all these other things. The counties have contracted with third-party foreign entities, foreign to the Constitution. Now you hear foreign and you think international, France, Germany, Jamaica. That's not what foreign means. Foreign means anything outside the jurisdiction of the law. The law is the Constitution. So the Constitution gives specific provisions for what government power may be used because the Constitution is a public trust. So when someone in government contracts with, I don't know, what's the machines, Eric or Dominion, or no offense to the people that have done like the trench warfare, but when you understand this, the argument we're making is you are using foreign powers to attack the rights of the people. That's what we're saying. In the law, we are saying this republic, which is open to the administration of the affairs by all people, and we hold our rights, and we're going to say, you guys are screwing up my country, you're screwing up my rights, and I'll swear to it. When you do that, you come as one of the people, which is the highest standing in the law that you can absolutely get. Go read the New York State Pistol Association versus Bruin came out like 8 weeks ago when the United States Supreme Court 9-0 basically said, if you're one of the people, the government can't tell you what to do. It was then validated in multiple other cases. There was a dude who was a felon. He pled guilty to a felony in the 90s, and so he wasn't able to have a gun. And for 25 years, it's the Range case, R-A-N-G-E. Range sued the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. He sued the federal government as one of the people. This is a felon. And for 25 years, he wasn't able to have a gun. Why? Because the statutes said you had to be a law-abiding citizen. The statute said you had to be a law-abiding citizen. What did Range say? Range said, I'm one of the people. And the Bill of Rights said the people have a right to bear arms. And the judges were like, yeah, you're right. He now owns guns. It's the text of the Constitution. That is the realm that we are living in now. That is the argument in the law that we're making. We are saying we hold our rights, nobody else does, and now because we have a republic, we get to look at anything in government and says, fix it. Why? Because Daddy's home. The master is here. The creators of government, the ones with all political power, are coming to the servants. And y'all already agreed to it. Every single person in government has raised their hand and has sworn to affirm the Constitution. The Constitution says, who has all political power? The people. The Constitution also says we can change the terms anytime we want to. They are party to a contract where the specific terms and conditions express that the people can change the terms whenever they want. they're screwed. If they party with foreign powers, foreign entities, if they do something that we don't like, the word is maladministration. Mal, Spanish, I don't know who speaks Spanish, but mal means bad. Malo, muy malo, very bad. Maladministration means wrong administration. It means y'all guys are screwing the pooch. So I don't have to look at them and say, you're not going according to contract or according to statute. I just got to look at it and say, I don't like that. Because elections are political events that belong to the people. My governor isn't doing an election. My senator ain't doing no elections. My dog catcher ain't doing an election. The people are doing an election. And the subtext of election is choice. Choice presupposes authority to determine what we're going to do. Who's got all political power? The people. I'm getting tongue-tied. You can tell I'm getting amped up. Because people have all political power, and we are in a republic, the law of the land, you carry your rights. You can look at your government and say what to do. There will be people that say, okay, well, I don't know how are you going to make it stick? How are you going to make it stick? What's the remedy? What's the remedy? Give me the turnkey solution, because that's what people are looking for. At this point in our nation, if you don't look at the headlines and conclude that things are messed up, I need to tell you about Jesus, because you're a moron. But the remedy is the fact that it's the law. It's the law. And when you bring this to a judge, and there's nuances I'll say not for public consumption, when you go through this process, you swear affidavit firsthand knowledge, and you swear affidavit to firsthand knowledge of your rights being trespassed, and you have legal standing as one of the people, who in government who swore that you are that you do have that, would say that you don't? None. Not unless they want to go to jail. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I am me, and y'all are screwing up. And if you don't do it, we're going to take this to a judge. And the judicial remedy is very simple. The judicial remedy is you are trespassing my form of government that I'm guaranteed. Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution guarantees every state a Republican form of government. If I, as one of the people with all political power, look at my administration and I say, y'all guys are screwing up, and you don't change it, what have they just done to me? They have now just broken the contract. You cannot breach the trust if you are a trustee. Can't do it. I mean, this is it's high level law, but it's one of the things whenever you tell a judge that, Judge, you're a trustee, the trust indenture specifies judicial remedy for trespass of rights. They'll say, yep. You swore to it. Yep, I sure did. Here's evidence that my rights are trespassed, and no one answered. There's no argument. There's no evidence against me. The facts have been established. Everything's been true. There is no omission or errors in pleading. Give me my judgment. There is literally no argument in the law against that. Yes, sir.
And that's why the Trump campaign had no standing in any...
Trump campaign had no standing because Trump didn't come as Trump. Trump came as Donald J. Trump for president. His standing was as a corporate fiction. My teacher, Dave Jose, got Carrie Lake standing in the case because she came as Carrie Lake for governor, and they denied her. So he got the text messages. He told Carrie Lake, come here as one of the people. She came as one of the people. She got her case. It is that simple. And don't overlook that. Do not overlook that. You and I, normal people generally don't watch what they say. They speak with their heart. They just... Jesus says out of the wellspring of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? We just kind of let things go. Lawyers are very tight. Judges are very tight. The law is very tight. In the law, there is no room for error. My father went home to Jesus on February 1, and whenever I bought my first house when I was in the Army, I only own one house. I'm not like a rich guy, but we moved a lot. But I remember signing like the 90 pages of documents. I was like, Dad, who was an attorney, by the way, so this is not an anti-attorney rant. My father, who I love, he's my dad. I mean, come on. I asked him, I was like, why are there so many pages to buy a house? And he said, I'll never forget it, lawyers found wiggle room. And if they can find wiggle room, they will get it. In the law, if you stand here, literally everyone in the government has sworn to defend your rights. This is not just, I know my rights. It is us coming by right in the law, using the trust indenture against them to correct their bad administration, which is the entire point of America. That's literally the predicate of a Republican government. This is exactly what our founders gave us. But we've never been taught this. Who's ever been taught that your government is a public trust besides what you've watched from me? No one makes this argument. No one makes this argument. Why? Because you've got all the power. You literally have all the power. These J6ers, someone was talking about the software, right? Looking at their face. The J6ers are being treated like they're down here. They're being treated like they're down here. And every single one, just this is kind of off topic from Josiah, so we can get rid of the machines, commonlawpeople.com/Josiah, Josiah, Josiah, like the king in the Bible. In the law, before a court case can happen, you've got to think of a table and 4 legs. I'm not a drawer, I'm a talker. That's a table with 4 legs, okay? It's supposed to be 3-dimensional. You're laughing at me. Kick that lady out. Get out of the audience. So you have to have 4 things. You have to have at least 2 opposing parties. Party A, Party B, me versus you. Plaintiff, defendant, respondent, claimant, right? You got to have 2 people against each other. You got to have controversy. You have to have conflict. This is why, if I'm going to step on toes, amen. This is why the American church that believes that politics is separate from Jesus has given us the world that we've gotten. Because we don't believe that the gospel of Jesus Christ saves enough to where it's going to change the world. We don't believe that, so we don't live it, so we don't talk it, we don't do it. As a result of it, we get the crap that we have, where people are twerking in front of little kids, mass migration, open borders, all sorts of abortions, child trafficking, all sorts of horrible things, because the church ain't telling the truth. The church ain't willing to go to war. The church isn't willing to bring controversy to the evils of the world, saying it is written. That's what we're doing. We are saying it is written, which is exactly what my Lord did in the wilderness when Satan the tempter came at him. He didn't use no magic. He just believed the word of God. I'm not using any magic. I'm just saying what the freaking thing says. I'm demanding strict observance to the law that you swore to. And I know what it says. You're screwed because I'm here and you're down there. And now that we know this, unlock. Now the question is, what do you want your elections to look like? That's the question. What do you want your elections to look like? We're not talking about whether they're going to do stuff or not. What do you want them to look like? Now you get to govern. Paper one day, voter ID, you only get the ballot whenever you go there, military and old, handicapped people, what do you want them to look like? But see, now that's a question of people administering the affairs of their government. Instead, they wrote the statute and we got to come down here like Oliver Twist. Please, sir, would you please give me honest elections? I would like America. Could we save America, please? Would you please have the integrity to do your job? Not freaking British. Anyway, you got to have controversy. You got to have controversy, party A, party B. Then you've got to have a competent witness. Competent witness. This is someone who has sworn under oath, I'm a first-hand witness. I saw that dude do it. This is what's getting J6ers in jail, because this right here is, and then you got to have a court that has competent jurisdiction. And a court is not a building with a room with a judge in it. A court depending on what type of court we're looking at, a court is a constitutional arena where the magistrate is imbued with judicial power. Judicial power doesn't have to go through rules and procedures and facts and filings and all that stuff. It is literally a trustee who wears a black robe, which you should look why they do that. A trustee who wears a black robe who's got a duty, one duty only. He sees evidence, he bangs gavel. That's what he does. A judge is putting together the puzzle. Whenever you present him the completed puzzle, he has nowhere to go except for remedy, 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 remedy. Sounds like ribbity. But like if you come here as one of the people and not down there, they treat you like you're here. But we don't know we're here. We think we're down there. So we get treated like we're down there. And when you get treated like you're down there, it's like, get out of here, give me some money. Did you know, young man, Article 2, Section 6. Do you still have your phone up by chance? Article 2 of the Constitution, Section 6. No? Here, you can use mine. Read Section 6.
The courts of justice of the state shall be open to every person, and speedy and certain remedy afforded for every wrong and for every injury to person, property, or reputation, and right and justice shall be administered without sale, denial, delay, or prejudice.
That is your guaranteed right. They can't deny you because you don't use the right words. They can't charge you money. The court costs, the filing fees. Really? Because you swore that they're open and they can't be administered with sale, delay, denial, or prejudice. Did you swear to that? Yeah. Then I'm not paying you a dime. We don't know the law. Okay, so Josiah is really just a matter of understanding this dynamic, understanding the trust dynamic, okay? We are a beneficiary of government. That's what I didn't do. A trust has the grantor, so this is generally like your people that are putting the assets, putting the power into the thing. Then the thing is your trust indenture. That's literally the written thing that has the terms and conditions. It's called a trust indenture. The definition of a trust indenture, because that's in Black's Law 5th, it's the written document with the terms and conditions that explain the duties of the trustees and the rights of the beneficiaries. So the trust indenture says that it's going to give power to the trustees only to do for the benefit of the beneficiaries, which is where Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, Oklahoma, says that government is instituted for their benefit, right? So the Constitution calls itself a public trust, and the Constitution says the people who benefit are the people. Does that make sense? So whenever you are trying to administer your government, you're here. This is your legal standing. This is your status. Anytime you talk to anybody in the government, I'm one of the people. I'm one of the people. I'm a taxpayer. Well, you're a moron. You just put yourself down there. I pay my taxes. Well, you pay your taxes, huh? How about Article 2, Section 2? All persons have the inherent pursuit of to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and the enjoyment of the gains of their own industry. But that'll get me shot, so I don't want to go there. So when people understand what the trust argument is, they will understand that whenever they come as one of the people, they are both the beneficiary, the person who's supposed to benefit from government, and they're the one that tells the government what to do. It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win situation. Why? Because your founders loved Jesus. When Jesus said, "Go into the world and teach the nations to obey," you had men and women who loved Jesus Christ, who read their Bibles and understood very well these elements of the law. And when they gave us this Constitution, they weren't playing around. They knew exactly what they were doing. They took that crown off King George's head and they busted it into a bazillion pieces and scattered it all over the place. And the administrative state, contracting with foreign powers, global corporations, globalism, godless commies, corrupt bureaucrats, whatever, is piecing the crown back together. It's piecing all of those fragments back together. And it's doing it by saying, you are not one of the people, you're a taxpayer. You're a voter. You're a resident. It's putting a hat on you and calling you something. That is called a bill of attainder. A bill of attainder is when the statutes tell you who you are in your status and standing. Because the power of saying I'm a taxpayer is now I'm going to fall underneath all the stipulations that people are now called taxpayers. Okay. But I keep going back there because that's really where you hammer it. Because when people hear that stuff, they're like, are you serious? Where have I not read the Constitution? Where have I not read what the law is? And everybody in government has agreed to this. They've sworn to it. And if they don't behave, believe, or perform, they are false swearing, or they're giving aid or comfort to an enemy of the Constitution or the state. What does that sound like? This is serious stuff. This is serious stuff. If these people, get this, if these people think that they can look at people and classify us as down here, who do they think is in charge? They think they are in charge. That is not what the Constitution says. That's not what the law is. That is what's been hidden from us. And because it's been hidden from us, we don't believe it. Now that you've read it, I invite you to come up and read my stuff. My dictionary's old, so don't grub it up. But now that you've read and now that you know, the question is, what are you going to do about it? Operation Josiah is a solution. It's not the solution, but it is a solution where I implement this. It's a step-by-step, self-paced strategy. There's a lot that I'm broad brushstroking. There's a lot that I'm not including because once you learn the common law, which is really what I'm explaining, once you learn the common law, you can pivot to anything in government. Part of, I'm kind of giving away a little bit of the chicken, part of the effort is to become a notary public. A notary public can notarize documents. There's a very specific reason for that. And one of the ladies that's doing this in another state, I won't say where or who, she texted me back today and she says, the state, whenever they were giving us our class on the notary public, they said that there's something we can do, but they weren't going to explain it because it was really technical and not really anyone does it. And I was like, was it called this? And she's like, yeah. How did you know? And I was like, because that's what we're going to do. Like, that's what we're going to do. She's like, well, why wouldn't they tell us? I go, if you don't tell people what their power is, they're not going to know how to use it. Because right now, the most we got is, I know my rights. God bless you. Yeah, you do have rights, but they're not down there. They're here. You belong here. Okay? Say again? That's why they take civics at school. Yeah. And even then, so I'm 38. I was born in 1985, so I'm a 90s baby, ish, like grew up in the 90s. Even then, civics probably weren't as specific as some of you all with respect to gray hairs, right? What we would call in Afghanistan spingiri, which means white hair. You go into a country, you go into a town. I don't want to talk to some stupid 24-year-old kid like I was. Delta Rasha Spingiri. Give me the gray beards. Give me the gray hairs. Bring the gray hairs. That's what I do. Bring me the gray hairs. Anyway, that's kind of it. I don't have a formalized presentation. What I've done is I've done my homework. I've done the research, and the very first step is at it's at commonlawpeople.com/Josiah. You enter an email and choose which state you're from, because I wrote notices for all 50 states. It took a long time. That's how I know the constitutions, because I read them all. But the notices are designed for people to understand what they are. And there's a video. You'll get a video link where I literally, word by word, explain what everything means. Because the worst thing you can do is leave here and say, well, I know I'm here, so y'all can't do nothing to me. That would be horrible. That would be absolutely horrible. Because what I'm not advocating lawlessness. I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm not a state national. I'm not any of those things. I'm one of the people. And I'm arguing and I'm advancing, I'm explaining and pointing to the common law. And you'll notice that everything I said, I never said this isn't legal advice, because I ain't giving advice. I'm administering my government. I don't want to give you legal advice. If I'm giving you legal advice, I'm a lawyer. If I'm a lawyer, then I'm one learned in the law that's been written by man. If I'm an attorney, then I'm someone who's conducting law in court for a profit. I don't make money doing this. I'm here on my own dime, own accord, because I got kids, Lord willing, grandkids someday. I love my country. I've killed for it. I've lost friends for it. I've been blown up for it. I don't want to see her die. And for me, the horrible experience that has been my life for the last 6-7 years, plus COVID, there's no other answer except for show me where that's written. Show me where it's written. I'm not making any fancy arguments. I'm demanding, show me where it's written in writing. Show me. If you can't show me, it doesn't exist. And the beautiful part is that every single thing that I've explained to you can be shown. And by the way, I'll finish my little tabletop here. The FBI is going around using people's facial recognition. And the facial recognition is then, extrapolated from social media accounts. And let's say someone's, on Facebook, because God bless these Trump people. A lot of them are like, we got to overthrow the government. It's like, come on, dude. Like, why are you saying junk like that? But it's like they'll put pictures of themselves like doing stuff, or just, God bless Americans, But this competent witness has to have firsthand knowledge that you've committed a crime. And I've looked at least 100 J6 affidavits, the charging application to get people to be indicted by grand juries. Every single one of them are by some unredacted FBI agent, and there's a bullet point in there that says, I have neither distinguished between firsthand knowledge and knowledge gained from interviews or resources. And that bullet right there gets this guy as a competent witness as someone without firsthand knowledge, because an affidavit, which is what he's swearing to, is supposed to be firsthand knowledge. If they're using facial recognition, confirming through social media, how many of these unredacted FBI agents are firsthand witnesses to these crimes? 0. So in this table, you cannot have a court case if you don't have one of the legs. If you take out one of the legs, say again? FISA is a private court. It's not a government court. It's a private entity. So it can do what it wants, include lying to the judge, because none of them are under oath. It's not a constitutional court, then. Right. What's the F stand for? Foreign. It's literally telling you. See, you guys hear foreign and you think international. You think Italy or Germany or Russia or whatever. I hear foreign and I say not of the Constitution. It's a different jurisdiction. So the court's literally telling you, like CPS. You guys had everyone take away kids from CPS. What was it? 88% of children rescued in Arizona between 2016 and 2020, 88% of them were from Child Protective Services. I believe that much of the human trafficking that's being done is through CPS. And CPS, get this, CPS is a private program where everybody that does it, they're not real courts. They're not common law courts, because common law means that there has to be a jury. There's got to be a jury. How many juries are in a family court? 0. So it ain't a court. It calls itself a court, but it's not a court. And so because it's not a court of record and it don't move by the common law, we're not discussing our rights anymore. We're discussing statute and policy, ordinance, and codes. And because we're discussing policies, ordinance, statutes, and codes, we're not discussing our rights, because we're not talking about the law anymore. We're talking about something foreign. And here's the kicker. They use money in the Social Security Trust to get paid. They take money out of the Social Security Trust, and that's where they get paid. That's where they take the money from. Whenever they take your kid, they get reimbursed by the Social Security Act for taking that child, which is an incentive to take children from parents.
And they're also taking a Social Security money and sending it to Ukraine.
Oh yeah. This stuff goes deep. But let's focus. Because I could riff on all sorts of things. The issue is elections, and I want to go after machines. And I want to go after machines because it's one thing everyone hates. Most people here, we're going to say, let's get rid of them. But it's also in the process of getting rid of the machines, we will learn that we are here, which is my real aim. My real aim is to teach people that you're here, because I think government is an idol for most people. I think government is an idol that most people fear. and will sacrifice to. I think government is an idol where people will think they're scarce, and so they'll get at each other because it's me versus you. I think that there's a lot of division and a lot of strife and a lot of anger. And as a dude I was an infantry officer in the Army. I have serious anger issues. So I think that there's a lot of bad things going on in the world, and it's done because government is what we're all fearing. When in this nation, we are literally the ones in charge of it. And this is why it's got to be a church effort. I know this is a GOP meeting, but I was telling her, I'm coming to preach the gospel. I'm not coming here for the Republican Party. I've ran for office 3 times. I've lost every single time. And now I know why I lost. Because I don't want to be a trustee. I want to be one of these guys. And now I'm one of these guys. I've got way more power than those guys. So here I am, able to, hang out with my kids. I almost wore shorts and sandals, which is what I normally wear, but I figured people wouldn't respect shorts and sandals, so I look the way that we do. But I don't have to go to Oklahoma City. I don't have to go to DC. I don't have to wear a suit. I don't have to go by their laws, and I've got more power. By you guys doing Josiah, just this group right here, you could flip the entire county, and no one in the county can stop you. Literally, nobody can stop you. Okay, I'll open for questions.
I need to ask you the question about where you said to get online for these books.
So I'll write it. Yeah, so I'll write it out. It's commonlawpeople.com. Oh. It's just, I try to make it, I was in the infantry, so I tried to make it simple. Like, simple. If you go to commonlawpeople.com, commonlawpeople.com, that will take you to my 12-hour seminar, and that's where you get all this stuff. It's free. I don't charge anything. I do tell you how you can support me in there. So there are like promotional stuff because this is how I get paid. But I'm not going to charge anyone for this knowledge ever.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So whenever we go, if we go to our county commissioner and we say we want to look at the machine.
No. We don't want to look at them.
Okay.
We want them to get rid of them.
Okay, this is my question. And they say, well, we're not going to do that because someone else wants the machines and they're the people too.
Sure.
What's your argument?
Well, so they can express that, but are they? So what we're doing, there's a big difference between a complaint and a claim. We're using law words now. A complaint is someone who's griping. Americans are really good at that. I got my rights. Well, you're just complaining. A claim is, I swear this is true.
I swear that what? Why do I get rid of the machines if something? They say, well, everybody else wants them. They told
It's not their decision at that point. And this is where I say this with love and respect. Our understanding of the law is so wrong and horrible. I have to destroy architectures in your head that are making you use the ideas that you're using.
I understand what they're going to tell me.
Amen. And we don't care what they say, because when we tell them the trust relationship, we want to teach them. Stage 1 is we want to teach them. We want to inform the people. Here is what's true. You swore to this. Here it is in writing. And if their heart is hardened and they say, screw you, okay. Then we go to step 2. Step 2 is we're going to write an affidavit. And an affidavit, there's incredibly specific mechanisms and tools in the law that you can write. See, whenever I come as one of the people, this is where no attorney will tell this, no law school will tell this, no judge will tell this, no legislator will tell this. As one of the people who creates government, who then determines everything else, we have all jurisdictions. I've got in personam, I've got in rem, I've got every jurisdiction that's available because I have what? All political power. The people then put power in the Constitution. The Constitution then grants the judges their jurisdiction. You can go read your constitutions. Article 7 of the Oklahoma Constitution, Section 1 says all judicial power. That's not all power, is it? All judicial power. So already we're talking about limitations. Does that make sense? This is how the law works. You've got to be very specific with your words. If I have all political power, if all political power is inherent in me, and we create the Constitution, and the Constitution then creates the judiciary, and the judiciary is only granted judicial power, when we look up the definition of judicial power, we recognize that it is only to adjudicate claims of rights and property, which is the common law. So when we look at the common law, how do we get the court case? I erased it. How do we get the court case? You have to establish all facts. How do you establish all facts? You got to be sworn. Who in government's going to swear that I'm not one of the people? That's right. Who in government's going to swear that I don't have all political power after they already swore that I did? Right. So whenever I do it and I establish the facts, guess what? They get a chance to respond. Are they going to respond? No. Why not? Because as soon as they respond, they have to admit that I'm not me and I can't do what I'm doing. At which point it makes them do what? They're now swearing against the Constitution. Do you want to do that? Are you sure that you want to put your neck in the noose and swear under oath, penalty of perjury, that I am not one of the people and you did not violate my right? Are you sure you want to do that after you swore that you would defend it? So you already agree with me. Now you're swearing that it didn't happen. You see how I'm turning the screws? It's a much different dynamic than what you were asking, where, well, I'm not going to let you do it. Okay, God bless you. Like, you will learn. You will learn. We're not asking. This is not a compromise. This is not something that we're going to be friends about. They are destroying my country. They are destroying our country. And I'm coming to them in love by telling them, you swore to this. You worked for me, and I'm daddy. And if you harden your heart, then I'm going to crush you.
Okay, so the second thing that you were talking about was an affidavit.
That's stage 2. So Josiah is a sequential plan, because already I'm telling you things that are stage 2. Then this is like, if you give people too much knowledge, it will break them, because they just don't have a foundation for it. Like, before I started talking, you guys had no idea what a trust was. And now you're hearing about affidavits and responses and stuff. It's like, whoa, that's why we're going slow. Here a little, there a little, precept upon precept, circumspectly.
Okay, so the commissioners are the ones that make that decision about the machines?
Say again?
Are the commissioners then the ones?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good question. So if we go to our Oklahoma Constitution, and if this video is for whoever else or anybody else reads in any other state, that's fine. So if we go to our Oklahoma Constitution, I'm very glad that you asked that question. Yes, you want to go to your counties, and the reason why, if we go to Article 17 is counties. Counties, Article 17, Section 1 says, each county in this state, Oklahoma, now or hereafter organized, shall be a body politic and corporate. What does body politic mean? No. This is where you guys need to know the words. Body politic. It's right there, okay? You can come up and read it if you want. A social compact by which the whole people covenants with each citizen, and each citizen with the whole people, and that shall all be governed by certain laws for the common good. In the Oklahoma Constitution, Article 17, Section 1, it literally says, all counties, now or hereafter organized, shall be body politic, which means you govern them. So the Constitution that they swore to literally says that you can go to anybody in the county and tell them what to do, because it's a body politic. So we want to go to the county commissioners, because the county commissioners are the ones that got home rule. And if you wanted to do other things, you could go to Article 5, Section 5 of the Oklahoma Constitution. You can write legislation that literally no one can stop. It's called an initiative. You can write an initiative and literally change your county's laws like that, and no one can stop you. You got to get a number of signatures, but no one can stop you. No judge, no governor, no nothing.
Full document is initiative petition.
Yeah, initiative petition, but that's Article 5, Section 5.
That statewide, remove all mechanical machines for ballot.
You could do it statewide, or you could do it county by county. Or you could just go to your county official and say, get rid of them because I'm dad. I'm the boss. And this is a lawful argument. So I want to introduce you guys to the concept of a maxim. A maxim, I'll just read it here, L-M-N-O-P. M is after L. A maxim of law And again, if you guys want to come up here and read it, normally I have something on the back. A maxim is a general statement of rules or laws, and our law only to the extent of application or adjudicated cases. An established principle or proposition, a principle of law universally admitted, which means everybody in the law agrees that it's true, as being correct statement of the law or as agreeable to reason. They are a proposition by all men, confessed and granted without proof, argument, or discourse, which means when you use a maxim, there is no argument. Here is 1,600 maxims of law, and if we go to one of these, and I've got it almost memorized, Maxim 51P, the main object of government is the protection and preservation of personal rights, private property, and public liberties, and upholding the law of God. So if you use that maxim, there is no legal argument against it. No attorney, no judge in this nation has any argument against that because it's a maxim. This is the tradition that Christians have done over 2,000 years. Over 2,000 years of reading the Bible, of preaching the gospel, of loving their neighbor, of doing these things. We've established common law, we've established maxims of law that because they are so old and time-tested and true, there's no argument, so that whenever we make them, I'm not arguing Roe v. Wade. I'm arguing what the maxims are. And that's where there's been an Indiana Jones kind of shuffle in this nation, where the judges and the law schools and the lawyers will say, well, that's case law. Find me the annotated statutes. You'll hear that. You'll hear lawyers say, find me the annotated. The annotated is a state-by-state specific of subject matter cases and all the case law of what some judge said about torts or podiums or tables or water bottles. They'll find whatever subject and they'll say, this is what this judge said 20 years ago and we got to do what they said. I'm sorry. Where did the Constitution give the judge the ability to write case law? It's blending of the powers, and you can't do that. Why? How do we know that? Because the Constitution says they can't. Show me, Jarrin. Show me that they can't do that. Okay. The Oklahoma Constitution. Let's go. Is this worth your time? Is this interesting? Article 4. Article 4 of the Oklahoma Constitution. The powers of government of the state of Oklahoma shall be divided into 3 separate departments, the legislative, executive, judicial. And except as provided in this Constitution, the legislative, executive, and the judicial departments of government shall be separate and distinct, and neither shall exercise the powers properly belonging to either of the others. So if a judge makes case law, he's literally going against Article 4, Section 1 that he swore to. That's the law. Of course it's a good point. Of course it's a good point. But see, now you know what's written, and because now you know what's written, you can go do something about it. Do we have any questions? People are getting kind of antsy, and that's fine by me, but...
We gotta get out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Come lock us out.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Commonlawpeople.com is all my information. Thanks for having me. I should have said that up front. Thank you.